I am Daniel Lucas, and welcome to Abstract Essay, where ideas take shape, thoughts find depth, and every conversation explores the art of thinking beyond the obvious. And today I have my special guest. She's the author of the book Thriller Park Angel, none other than Miss Lara Luna.
Hey y'all, I'm Lara Luna. Oh, there goes my pug barking. So I have a pug dog too.
Yes, Pat. Welcome on Abstract Essay, Miss Laura, and can you
Thank you.
please introduce more about yourself?
Thank you, Mr. Daniel. Yes, so I am an author of Trailer Park Angel, which is a funny spiritual book. Uh, it's about spiritual awakening and a memoir of my experiences. It's also an angel number guide. There's funny stories in there that relate to 55 plus park living in mobile home communities in Florida, but it would be funny for anyone that could relate to being over 55. And so I also have a podcast. I'm a podcaster and I do a series that is related to the book. It's called the Trailer Park Angel Podcast, and it's funny stories about what really happens in 55 plus life, but it's like a comedy, and it has now animation. Little animations about each story are now put in. I think I'm up to episode 22 so far, and it's just a fun place to go and watch a story for maybe 11 minutes, 6 minutes, some of them are. And it's just about like going to the bar at 10 a.m. because that's when happy hour is here in this little Florida town. And how, the older generation will go to have their drinks and call it vitamin therapy instead of getting drunk, and just like funny things like that. And it's also about golf cart parades, swimming with the manatees because we live so close to Crystal River here. That's the next town over. And I believe it's one of the only places you can actually swim with manatees now. So it's a pretty cool place to live. It's beautiful. It's hot and humid and muggy, but aside from that, on the good days where it gets cool and the snowbirds come down, it's a really beautiful place to be. And you're surrounded by nature. Right now, if you can see in the back of me, I have alligators in the canal, which I'm used to now. But I think I've been here for maybe 15 years, and there's been one alligator with one eye that swims down the canal. He goes
Mm.
to get chicken about four doors down, which isn't a good thing to do, of course. But so it's like funny things like that in my podcast. And then my book is really about a very light way to introduce people into spiritual awakening and angel numbers. And the example in the book is really, I take my own life because I used to be a mobile home agent for 9 years, and it was not a pleasurable experience for me. I mean, I loved meeting the people. I've really made a lot of friends through the business that I still have today, but the business itself can be very dog eat dog and about monetary values, really mostly, and like a cutthroat kind of a thing. And it's just had never been something that is relatable to myself. But I've been living that way because I was taught ever since I was young that I had to do what I had to do to bring the income in, to pay the bills, to do the right thing, which is to have a job. And I started to think to myself, why am I suffering like I am every day in this job? Um, Things started to not make sense to me. And that's when I started to question things. I would come home from work very tired, working so much I didn't have time for anything else, putting it ahead of everything because really, when you're in that kind of business, you kind of have to do that in order to be successful. just barely making ends meet anyway with the bills, and just looking outside one day and saying, why am I here? Is this all I was meant to do? This is why I was born? I don't understand. Right at that point, nothing made any sense to me. And I felt like I just didn't want to be here anymore. And I did send a message out and I said, God, please, I don't want to do this anymore. And I don't want to be here anymore. So give me a sign. Like, should I keep doing this? And the funny thing was, right before this happened, when I started to make all of the sales agreements out and did all of the math at a lot of the addresses, and a lot of the totals from the house sales would add up to like recurring numbers I kept seeing. So for example, I would do a sales agreement and the total would come out to $111,222, and it just didn't make any sense as to why I kept seeing the same repeated numbers. I would wake up at 3:33 every morning. I would see 111 on the clock. I would be driving my car and see 222 spray painted on the back of a bus. And that's when everything just started to, I felt like I was overwhelmed and my head was going to explode. And then it was like a wave of peace washed over me. And I started to look up and research the angel numbers, or the numbers that I kept seeing at the time, and talking to my friends about it. And they were starting to see numbers as well at the same time as I did. And that made it better for me because then I didn't feel so alone. And we started to look up the angel numbers. I started to research everything, and that's in my book. I have an angel number guide in the book, just not every single angel number, but the angel numbers that most people really see, like 111, 555, 444. They each have a different meaning. So when I was feeling a certain way and I saw an angel number, I would look up the meaning, and it would every time be related to how I was feeling. And it was a message that gave me hope and gave me just like a future I could see. Like it was such a peaceful reminder that we are all never alone. And I started to then research angels. I started meditation also. I started going on YouTube and listening to spiritual podcasts, researching everything there, watching near death experiences, and jotting down all that information. And then I would put together all the information from everything, quantum physics, the near death experiences, um, just things on angel numbers, and everything had a similarity to it. And that's when I started to say, okay, well, if these 15 things are similar, then it must be true. And then I started using AI to put all this information into all of the AIs. I have 3 different AIs that I use to put information in, and they come back with the same information. So whenever I get the same information on anything, then I'm like, okay, so that seems to be true to me. And now it's telling me it is true. So that's how this journey all got started. And that's how, well, I always tell people it's really never me that either painted my paintings or wrote the book. I believe it's my higher self or angels that have come down and wrote the book and did the paintings or helped me do it, because I feel like it's surreal. It's so surreal. It doesn't feel real to me. Like it's a dream, of course, come true. I mean, I never thought I would ever be an author. If anyone would have told me when I was in the mobile home sale business that I would have wrote a book, I wouldn't have believed them, especially one on spiritual awakening, because at that time in my life back then, I'm totally changed now. I'm more of me now. I'm, going towards my soul path. I'm going towards my higher self. I always say every morning, I give permission for my soul to take over my ego and for my higher self to take the wheel so I may follow. every day, that little 10 minutes sometimes turns into an hour, sometimes now 2 hours, that I give to myself every morning. That's the key, is coming back into yourself. Come into your own authenticity, who you really are. What do you really like to do? What do you really want to do? I don't want to be in the mobile home sales business because that's just not for me. um what do I want to do? I want to paint. I want to do podcasts on funny little series about gnomes and angels, and I'd love to write a book. So I'm doing right now what I've really always wanted to do, but never knew I wanted to do it because I was so involved in the daily life of survival mode, of being in fear every day. Oh, I'm scared to do this because if I do this, then I might not be able to afford this. Or, oh gosh, I'm scared to, go that way. That I heard that was a bad neighborhood. Or like I'm now so I made a 180-degree turn because I don't think of fear anymore as I go throughout my daily life, and that's what this book is for. It's already helped one person in the park that I lived in, that bought the book. This woman had bought the book and said it changed her life because she was doing the same thing I was, operating on fear every day. When you wake up, you're scared of everything. You turn on the news and you're like, "Ooh, that's scary." And then you go outside and you're like, "Oh, oh, oh, who's that? Is that a different person I never met before? Oh, that's scary." Like that's how my life was for 56 years. I'm now 58. So at the age of 58 years old, I'm finally free of fear. And now I can recognize when there's fear in other people. And for example, I'll have my relatives call me and they're just full of the fear right away. They're afraid of something. So, like, for example, my cousin called the other day and he said, "Are you using AI?" And I go, "Yeah, I use it for research because it's basically like it's a glorified version, I guess, of Siri to some people. But I mean, like, you could think of it like just going and typing something in Google that you want to find the answer to. So for AI, for me, is just education and finding out a lot of things that I didn't know about before. So when he asked me about AI, the first thing he said was, "I'm so scared of AI." And I thought, oh my goodness, this is a big dude who works out every day. He's like Mr. Muscle and like one of the, Harley Davidson guys. And, he's a mechanic and he's rough and rugged, but he's afraid of AI. And I was like, wait a minute. So now that I've gone through what I call my spiritual awakening, which also did involve the dark night of the soul. That does involve getting rid of a lot of the fear. So I've been working on myself to take out that fear from my old belief system in like little strands. I'll take out like something that happened to me when I was 10, that still bothered me today that I didn't even know was bothering me. I'll work on taking that out and reliving it again and understanding why I'm afraid of it and why that's bothering me. And then it goes away. um and I've been doing that for the past 2 years. So that's another reason why I am a changed person, because I don't fear anything. And because also, um I've been going through my meditations every day. I've been connecting, you can say, I guess, with the other side or across the veil. But I know now that we don't die after our bodies are gone. And so my question is to everyone, I guess, if you knew that you never really died, would you still be living the same way you're living now? Or would you change it? Or would you not be afraid of anything anymore? Because really, if you think about it, what do you have to be afraid of if you're not going to ever die? If you're always going to exist? Because once you exist, you'll always exist. You cannot not exist. So this book, going back to my book, is about awakening, but it's not like a textbook that's like teaches people like number one, this happens, number two, this happens. This is a book where it takes it on a friendly, funny, spiritual journey through a 55 plus mobile home park in Florida, through a golf cart parade, where people see angel numbers or people are seeing paranormal things. And it's funny stories that relate to spirituality that are actually helping people to wake up in their own time and in their own way. And when I say wake up, I mean not being in that prison of fear anymore and just being able to see more clearly, um, and to who you really are, because that's really what's most important. And that's what is kind of when you go towards the end of the book, is what I call own yours, own yourself. Like, don't worry about what somebody just came and said about you. Oh, well, you look like you gained a little bit of weight today, and or have you been going through something? You don't look so well. Like, I used to come inside, and that used to happen to me, and I would dwell on that, sometimes for weeks. And it would just bring me down into a depression. So now I see it differently. I see people for maybe even why somebody might be doing that is because they probably went through something in their life, or maybe they're going through something now. So instead of taking those things and then making your life about that, you have to own yourself. You have to go more into yourself and pull out you. So I always tell my friends, if you want to, and this would be a really cool thing to just try, is to go outside in your community and just tell somebody that you talk to every now and then something new about yourself that they didn't know, because I always used to be afraid to do that. Like, they're not going to accept me for who I am. No one's going to like me. They're going to think I'm weird because I'm an artist, or because I meditate, or whatever it is. But when you go out and you try, and you say, and just try it one time and say to someone, that I like to do this, or this is something about myself that you didn't know, I think you'd be pleasantly surprised. They'd probably come back and say, "Oh, wow, you know what? I didn't know that about you. That's pretty cool." It's not always going to be bad. And I think that fear-based belief system has put us all in prison. And I have been in prison for 56 years. So 56 years I put myself in prison, and now I'm free and I feel great. And I have even my brothers, I have 3 brothers. I have my brother saying to me, "Who are you? I don't know who you are. You used to always do everything to please everyone else." No, don't give your power away to anyone else. The power is yours. Keep it. You were born on this planet for a reason. I don't believe anyone on this planet is here for nothing. I think every single one of us has something to bring into the world. Each and every one of us, along with the animals and everything that's alive here on the planet, everything is important. So I I try to incorporate all of that stuff into my podcast series and also into my book.
Interesting, Miss Laura, and thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world.
Thank you.
Hoping for more and more trailers Park Angel to come.
All right.
All right. So, can you tell us about the first truly undeniable and perhaps absurd sign from the universe you receive?
Yes. Well, it's kind of a funny story. So I went, we have caves here in Florida. I don't know if a lot of people know that, but there's a couple towns over from where I live. I believe they're limestone caves. There's a whole cave system. I didn't know that they were there either. My friends had taken me there, and they said, "Get ready, you have to have flashlights. This is like a real live cave." And I'm like, "Wow, well, I'm not really a caver, but I guess I can you know, go with you." So we went, and we went into a cave system, which was really cool. And we got down in there. And when we did, as we were exploring the cave, I noticed a number that was spray painted on the side of the cave, and it was 222. And I was like, wow, oh my gosh, like that can't be a coincidence. No, it was a synchronicity, right? So I don't believe in coincidences. I think that everything that we see, we're meant to see. So as we then climbed out of the cave and came out, and I was struggling, I finally get to the top and I just look over to the right and there was a log, and on the log was spray painted 444. And I thought, this is so nuts. Like, how could that be true? Right. And I looked at my friend. I'm like, Are you seeing these numbers too?" And she's like, "Yeah." So she started to research angel numbers, and this is how this all got started. I guess that was the weirdest way to act for the angels to actually show me the numbers to me was, in the cave and then on the log. That was pretty profound for me. But I also have synchronicities where we have a lot of eagles here and hawks. We have a lot of birds flying around here, and I'll go outside and I'll find like an eagle feather I found on my front step. Um, and I was like, wow, it's a perfect eagle feather. Like, how did it get here? How could the wind have brought it this far? Like, those kind of things where it's almost like just not able to even happen, but yet it's there. Those kind of things. Then through meditation, I really just started to meditate where I would just go into silence and into like a blank space, and not really wanting to see or knowing how to even communicate with anyone spiritually. So it started to happen by itself that after, I'm going to say, probably about maybe 2 months of meditating in the mornings and just giving myself peace, I started to receive messages from other beings, and I started to write them down. So I was doing automatic writing, and I now have about 4 notebooks full of automatic writing from messages received from other beings. I'm not going to say that I received any messages from angels. That None of them were really from angels. They were from other beings that some other people have communicated with before. Uh, Pleiadians, extraterrestrial entities, um, my indigenous relatives. I never knew that I had the Native Americans and the Ojibwe and the Shawnee, the Cherokee. They all came through and they do give me messages. They also give me some of their language that then, when I research what those words are, it is the actual language. So I'm not a person that would, after every one of these automatic writings, what I would do is I would put all that information into 3 different AI systems to see if I was crazy or if some of this information that came through is actually real, because some of it is like solar systems, like the Vega system, Sirius, the dog star, Orion. Things like that that came through, I then put into the AI program. And what I got back was, this is the exact coordinates of an actual star system. There is a star system called Vega, and all those other things I mentioned are real. So then I started to have these profound, awakening periods where I would just cry. After I found out the truth, I would just sit there and cry, this deep crying of like, I can't believe this is true, in a way. Like, how am I channeling this? How are they giving me these messages? But if you just relax and go into yourself and find your peaceful spot, I believe everyone is able to do this. And I think those energies will come through. Um, so then what happened was I started to get messages from my family that passed away. And I thought, that can't be true. I'm not a psychic. But when I was a child, there was a psychic medium who did tell me that I was an empath. And I didn't know what that was when I was young. I had no idea. I just kind of ignored it. And now I'm starting to understand why being a mobile home agent was so hard for me, because I was absorbing everyone's feelings. I would absorb the seller's feelings. I would absorb the buyer's feelings. When I go out into my park and walk around, I'm absorbing feelings. So I had to find a way to kind of be able to, discern, like, are those their feelings or are they my feelings? I went through all that and had to research all that as well to learn. But my transmissions that I have gotten so far, I'm going to be making into a second book, which is just going to be the actual transmissions that have come through in my automatic writing. And I think that would be interesting to the people that it's interesting to. So if you resonate with that kind of thing, then my second book would probably be very interesting. It does include transmissions from the Nomos, Anubis, the Atlanteans, and many more others, the Council of 24, the Council of 13. And there's so many beings have come through to communicate with me, and it's only for about maybe an hour or two in the mornings. Sometimes I'll take a break from it and then go back to it again. It's not like an exact every single day, although it's been every day for 3 months now. But sometimes you'll have a doctor's appointment early and you can't meditate, or I'll have a headache. I do have migraines a lot. So that might stop me from my meditation that day, but I'll always get back to it because I have to now meditate at least every other day to, I can't miss it for more than 2 days, because then I don't feel right. I feel like I'm going back to my old self. I don't think that I have the capability of going back there, but I think the feeling of that heaviness, not the fear, but just the heaviness of that without the meditation, I went to the dentist. I know this is going on now, but I just have to tell you this one thing. But I went to the dentist because I had a tooth that I was sure I had a cavity. And when I got there, they did all the x-rays, and it came to be that I didn't have the cavity in my tooth at all. My tooth was fine, and when I was there, I had no pain, so I couldn't understand why. And my dentist had said to me, you seem like such a different person now. You're happy, you're smiling all the time. You just feel like this is your twin that I'm talking to. And I told him why. And he said, "Oh, I always wanted to do meditation." And I said, "You should try it. Just give yourself 10 minutes in the morning or whenever you can do it. It doesn't have to be the morning, but whenever you want to do it. Just try to get yourself, a little bit of peace maybe before you start your day." And so he said, "I think that's probably why you came in here today, because this is a message that I needed to hear. And I'm gonna sincerely start trying to meditate." And so when I left the dentist, I was like, well, I guess that's why, I went to the dentist today. It wasn't really about my tooth. So things like that, like, you have to be able to see them as they're occurring. Like, instead of walking around with blinders on, because I don't think that that's really a good thing to do anyway. But I understand it because I did it for 56 years. But now that my eyes are open and that I feel like I am awakened to my higher self, everything is coming into fruition. So I hope it does the same for y'all.
Indeed. So, Miss Lara, can you please invite our listeners to support Trailer Park Angel?
Absolutely. You can go to laralunacreations.com, and right when you get to the page, you can either sign up for the newsletter, go buy the book, or visit the podcast and listen to the series.
Yes, people, let's support Miss Lara Luna, because if you support her, for sure, more and more empowering Trailer Park Angel to come. So, Miss Lara, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much, Mr. Daniel, and it's been a pleasure meeting you and being on your podcast.
Likewise, more people, see you soon.
Bye.